Everyone. I welcome everyone from Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and on behalf of Bajaj Electricals and Bajaj Electricals Foundation for the webinar on creating tobacco-free workplaces and workforce. Today, this webinar is organized as 31st of this month is the No Tobacco Day, and on that occasion, we have organized this workshop or webinar with Bajaj Foundation. To say a few words about Bombay Chamber, I would like to say that Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a premier chamber of commerce and industry, which is 184 years young, and we are young by 184 years and oldest chamber, functioning chamber in the country, and we have long illustrious history of continuous service to the trade and industry of the country. We have several thousand members, prime organizations, companies of our members, which represents the cream of Indian industry, commerce and services. Bombay Chamber provides lots of services like certificate of origin, and I would like to specifically inform you that we have started issuing the online certificates of origin to the members and people who are non-members as well as non-members also. This is a very useful service which we have been able to start in this COVID times. Then we also have the mediation services, which is very unique, and we are the one of the key organizations who is offering the mediation services in especially the corporate disputes and alternative corporate dispute resolution, one of the major services which is offered by Bombay Chamber along with arbitration and litigation services. Then we also have the lot of seminars, webinars, conferences, workshops. Those on regular basis we organize over 100 seminars are organized in a year by Bombay Chamber. And we also represent industry opinions, industry point of views, industry's issues to the right kind of an authorities, or we present the papers, we submit the representations to the government for bringing in the policy change which is friendly to the industry. So these are the few things which we have been doing with the industry, and that is why we are here for so many years and respected quite well from the industry organizations. This is something as a few lines about Bombay Chamber, but if you look at the history of Bombay Chamber has contributed a lot in the city's development as well as in the development of the some of the country level areas. So I'll stop here from the others, but for more information on the Bombay Chamber, I would request you to kindly visit our website, bombaychamber.com. And now I invite Ms. Madhura Talegaonkar, CSR Head of Bajaj Electricals Limited, to share her inaugural address. Over to you, Madhura. Hello. Madhura, are you there?
Yes, I'm very much here. Am I audible to you?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Thanks, Usha, for hosting this. I would like to thank Bombay Chambers. Our partnership runs for the last few years now, and very happy to see the Bombay Chambers taking initiative in something which is a little bit deviant from the regular business and even from the business of CSR. We would like to spend the next hour and a half to talk about what Bajaj Electricals as a corporate, under the leadership and guidance of Mrs. Kiran Bajaj, who is wife of Shekhar Bajaj and also founder, director of Paryavaran Mitra, has done in the last decade or so in the space of anti-tobacco. She's been our inspiration to not just work in the space of anti-tobacco at the community level, but also has guided our corporate journey in the space of anti-tobacco. So we started from identifying, counseling, talking to tobacco users in our company, in our warehouses, in our vendor places, in our factory sites, to actually now having a proper anti-tobacco policy in place, a counseling process in place for tobacco users who would like to quit. And over the last so many years, with sustained efforts, we have been able to enhance a sphere of influence, not from the corporate factory sites to vendor sites, dealer sites, Bajaj customer care dealers, distribution networks, and even our end consumers in the last decade or so. Now, why are we doing this in the corporate space? Because one is, if you care for your employees, you would like to see how the health of the employee, the quality of life that the family will have with an employee who's a tobacco user, gets affected, and how you can actually positively be in that space to create a better life for the particular individual. Also, there are a lot of studies which are available which talks about the incomes that the governments can make, but the monies that need to be spent on the healthcare when the masses are using tobacco. So we're trying to make this kind of a balance between what is the best ideal scenario for your employees if you really care for them and you care for their health and well-being. So you can actually take on this journey also. And there are a lot of evidences and scientific studies to prove that it makes a business case, quote unquote, because you're actually increasing the productivity. There have been evidences which have proved all about the huge amount of loss of productivity and time, and also of health of the employees who are tobacco consumers vis-a-vis the ones who are not, who are tobacco free. And as a commitment, as a vision to have a tobacco free society, a tobacco free world, Mrs. Kiran Bajaj and Mr. Shekhar Bajaj very passionately, diligently have taken this on their own as a part of the Bajaj group. And we would like to encourage more and more corporates to come on board. We have now a Bajaj Electrical Foundation, which can actually also be of some assistance or of some use to any of the corporates who would like to take on this journey in their own companies and help benefit their employees. So with this introduction, I think I'll hand over back to either Aniha or Anisha. We have a very august, very impressive panel who have been working very hard in this space. And again, my compliments to Bombay Chambers and all the organizations and the people who are working, even my own CSR team, to get these people who are dedicated from the government, from the medical health, medical fraternity, from the NGO fraternity, and extremely experienced, who will be now talking to all of us, how to work in this sphere and get maximum impact so that we are a better community or a better youth or a better corporate in the coming years. Yeah, so over to you, Anisha, Aniha or Usha, for the introduction of the panels.
Thank you, Madhura ma'am. So we'll start this webinar. We have today Dr. Duryodhan Chavan. Unfortunately, due to some urgent work, Dr. Sadhna Taide, Director Health Service, will not able to join us today. So Dr. Duryodhan Chavan, he is the Assistant Director, Mental Health and Non-Communicable Diseases with the Health Service Maharashtra. And today he is here. He is joining us for this webinar, and he has more than 23 years of experience in the field of public health. So, Doctor, over to you.
Madam, thank you. I request to start that PPT, madam. Is it possible to share the screen, ma'am? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, okay. I start. Should I start with the topic?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Is it possible to share that PPT, ma'am?
Roshni, if you have a PPT, please share.
Roshni, ma'am, I have sent it on Roshni ma'am's email, ma'am.
Yes, Aniha, it is being shared. That just give the access to Varun. Varun, you may please upload the PPT.
Yeah, Varun, you can share the screen.
Yeah, he is uploading it.
Okay, madam. Okay. So, as you already said, this is
You can start, sir.
this webinar is organized on the occasion of No Tobacco Day, which is scheduled on 31st May. So, and today's program's theme is creating tobacco-free industry and tobacco-free environment at workplace. So, in relation to that, I have prepared small PPT and what Maharashtra is actually doing in this field. We will share that. This year's theme, I will also talk about it. And in short, I will tell what Public Health Department is doing in tobacco control activity in Maharashtra. And in brief, I will tell about the COTPA Act, which is the Act for Prevention and Control of Tobacco-related Products and Tobacco. There are some provisions of punishment, imprisonment, everything is there. But as we all know, it is very difficult to implement any act in state, and this is very crucial, and it is related to habit. The tobacco chewing or smoking, it is sort of habit, and habitual people, it is really very difficult to ask them to quit that habit. So we are still considering the drawbacks or the hazards of consumption of tobacco. We are trying to implement that as much as possible because tobacco leads to many non-communicable diseases and including cancer and other diseases also. So we will share those things in this PPT once it gets loaded. And if there is any query or if you want to know, you can contact us anytime. Is it loaded, madam?
Sir, I think there is some problem with the PPT getting uploaded. Aniha, can you please help? I think it has been disabled.
Yes, I'm. Vikram, please allow host Varun to share the PPT. I think it is disabled from your side. Vikram, are you there? Vikram, are you there?
I can share the screen now. Yeah, Varun here. I'll share the screen.
Dr. Duryod, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. You may please continue. Apologies for the delay in uploading.
Okay. Next, ma'am. Next.
Yep.
Yeah, these are the points on which we are going to discuss. WHO theme for World No Tobacco Day for 2020. Should I start, madam? Hello.
Yes,
Sir, please. Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir. Please continue.
This is the outline of presentation. WHO theme for World Tobacco Day on this May. How the tobacco industry targets youth, why tobacco control is important, preventive measures taken in Maharashtra to protect youth from tobacco addiction, and current activities conducted in the Maharashtra for the prevention of tobacco, and what is the way forward in this. Next, please. The WHO theme for this year is it is said that protecting youth from industry manipulation and preventing them from tobacco and nicotine use. This is the theme which is given by WHO regarding No Tobacco Day on this on this 31st May. This global campaign emphasizes the achievements and progress made throughout the year towards the tobacco-free world. Once we get this theme, we have to make awareness for the year coming ahead on this topic. How the industries are targeting our youth for using the tobacco and other tobacco products. Now, next, please. Next slide. Yeah. How the tobacco industry targets youth. In this, as the tobacco industry is well aware, a person who starts smoking before their early 20s is not only more likely to develop an addiction, but may also have an impaired ability to quit over smoking later in life. So it is said that from the general survey, it is said that the average age of starting tobacco has lessened by 1 year. It was previously 18.5 years, and as the result of recent survey, it says it is 17.5 years. That means mean age where tobacco consumption starts by our young adults, it is 17.5 years. From that age, this starts. It is an average or mean age, we can say, at which the tobacco consumption starts by our young population. In its efforts to manipulate young people, the tobacco industry has restored to embellishing products to make them more appealing to specific demographics, particularly via packaging and branding. For example, e-cigarettes, which is recently came in market after within these last 2-3 years, and it is very dangerous. These instruments, they are looks like our routine pens or the things which use daily in our workplace or at our even our at home also. Next. How the tobacco industry targets youth. Tobacco and related industries statistics to make it is shared in the slide. Over 15,000 flavors, most of which attract children and adolescents. They are preparing the tobacco in different flavors, and the packaging is very beautiful packaging, so the youth can be attracted towards it. Social media influencers and marketing, it is done knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes they sell the product, but the picture and the content is different. Like they say pan masala, but it is not only pan masala. If we go and look in it in detail, the tobacco products are there in those packets. Next. How the tobacco industry targets. Here they sponsor events and parties for the schools or colleges or any big industry or any function at the school or college level. They sponsors, and then they get publicity to their products through those events. Distribution of branded promotional products. Sometimes they distribute branded products to freely in initial stage so that people get attracted and start buying them on their own. Next, please. How the tobacco industry targets youth. In this, we can say we are today we are going to speak about workplaces, but these are the places where work goes. And today we are with corporate section, but this presentation we have general prepared in general for any occasion. Schools, they sponsor school collars, placement, uh, entertainment media, free product samples, single stick cigarettes, make addiction more affordable, products at eye level for children. When they set their shop, they put the products at the level of eye level of the children so that they can see easily and get attracted towards them. These are different tricks they use for attracting the young adult and young children towards their products. Selling products at eye level, product placement and advertising near schools. So in this like schools, we are saying all schools, tobacco free schools, like that we are saying tobacco free health institute, tobacco free industries, tobacco free workplaces. Next, please. As part of government endowment to root out drug mania in India, it is important to control tobacco uses as it is a gateway to other addictions. Tobacco in the along with tobacco, they can the person can these sellers can sell other addiction products also, like drugs and other things. Tobacco kills about 3,500 persons daily in India. These are the survey report figures. Tobacco kills about 3,500 persons daily in India. More than 5,500 children as young as 12 years start using tobacco every day. It is the most important preventable risk factor for all non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular diseases and stroke. These are called as non-communicable diseases, and tobacco users are more prone to these diseases. NCD causes 60% of total mortality. If we say this recent pandemic we are facing about corona, in this also it is said that the mortality is much more higher in the patients with comorbid conditions. Patients with those who are already having diabetes, hypertension, or other non-communicable diseases, and they are suffered from corona, they are more, the mortality is more in those cases. 40% of cancer cases and 90% of oral cancer cases are attributed to uses of tobacco. Nearly 12.5 lakh Indians die from tobacco use every year, which is more than those killed by AIDS, TB, road injuries, and malaria combined. So this is the big number the number of death which is caused by use of tobacco. It is the only legal consumer product which kills 50% its consumers. Tobacco is a legal product, but it has to be sold as per the COTPA Act 2003. There is separate act for selling, branding, and everything regarding tobacco. But as we know, many people are these the sellers, for getting the profit, they violate the rules and they sell as per their own convenience or as per their profit only. Next, please. This is the graph showing disease-wise classification. We have already talked about tobacco, only tobacco related products, smoking, chewing tobacco and e-cigarettes, etc. It is 5.4% deaths are in that, and other diseases, malaria is very less, measles is very less, malaria after that, and this is 5.5 this tobacco use. 5 million deaths per year will increase to more than 8 million per year by 2030. It is predicted that this 5 million will rise to 8 million per year deaths by 2030. 1 billion people deaths during the 21st century. This is the report on World Health Statistics 2008. Next, please. Preventive measures to be taken in Maharashtra to protect youth from addiction. Objective that to create a generation that tobacco and secondhand smoke and the death and disease that they cause. The second objective is break free from the tobacco related industries manipulation by becoming educated on their tactics and the harm caused by their products. Next. Next, please. These are some current active. Before this, one slide before. That is missing. Slide again. Okay, next. This is tobacco control activities conducted in Maharashtra. The approach is sensitize key policy makers and senior officials at state and district level. So we have, regarding this 2003 Act, we have issued many government resolutions and instructions to implement the Act in the state. Second point is get appropriate orders issued departmentally and at the district level. At district level, special committees formed which looks after this implementation of this act and preventing the tobacco sale or controlling the tobacco use. To sensitize and train key policy personnel, key health and education personnel, and get monitoring system set up. Mobilize social and political support through sensitization and media. There are many NGOs who are supporting in these activities in Maharashtra to state government, and we are doing the work together to get control on this tobacco use and try to prevent the use of tobacco in the society. Next, please. Next. At district level, these activities are going. District level coordination committee is established. District collector is the head of that committee. The tobacco cessation centers at district hospital and rural hospitals. We are establishing tobacco cessation centers. Along with our dental clinics at these hospitals, training and sensitization of major stakeholders, health, education, and police department. Fourth point is tobacco awareness through IEC activities in public domain. Fifth is media coverage Sixth is tobacco-free school activity, which is implemented through the help of NGOs in rural as well as urban Maharashtra. Declare district as a model district, tobacco-free. Uh, this we are trying, and happy village activity is implemented in that. At village level, Vipassana and other de-addiction programs are conducted, and almost 30 villages we make as happy villages in the Maharashtra state. Next, next. These are some pictures what health department is doing in the field for implementing this Tobacco Control Act or COTPA Act. Next, please. Next. Next. Please. Next. Yeah, these are celebration of World No Tobacco Day. Next. Next. This is tobacco free school campaign at district level. These are this poster competition, Rangoli competition, and other activities we take at school level. Establishment of tobacco cessation centers. This is we are doing at district hospital or our rural hospitals, where these addicted people come and they get treatment for cessation or quitting their habit of chewing tobacco or smoking cigarettes. Next. Next. Next, sir. Next. These are the essay writing competition and other IEC activities. This is Mehndi. They are using doing IEC through Mehndi. Next. Next. Yeah. This is NTCP activity, Tobacco Free Health Institutes and Tobacco Free Schools. Now we have planned to make 100% schools tobacco free in this coming year, and we are working on that. Next. This is NTCP achievement. The National Tobacco Control Program is there, through which we are doing these activities. There are punishment and this fine also. We are supposed to do the fine for those who violate the COTPA Act or other things. So for that. This is the amount which we have collected, the revenue which we have collected through implementation of this act. Next. Next. This is NTCP achievement. We have 224 tobacco cessation centers in the Maharashtra, and 25,275 people have been de-addicted in this through these centers. Rupees 14,88,000 worth amount tobacco products were seized by the police and with the help of NGOs. FDA had collected fine rupees 4 crore 1,82,957 under this COTPA Act in 2018. Next. These are the achievements. Next. Next. These are various government resolutions we have passed. Time to time, this year also we have planned before this 31st May, we are in the process to get the government resolution for no spitting or anti-spitting uh, GR regarding anti-spitting. If this GR comes out, then we cannot spit here and there. There are specific guidelines through that act or through that guideline. We cannot, now we see in government institutes, nobody bothers. Anybody can spit anywhere. But if once this resolution is there, then we have restrictions on this activity. Next, way forward. This is what we are planning to do in coming year, implementing district rules and regulation for hookah bar. Under this, the people or these bar owners, they are saying herbal hookah, but there is nothing like herbal hookah. The people are they are just trying to get distracted the government agency, and they are doing tobacco related activities there in their those hookah bars. Ban on loose cigarettes. Loose cigarettes, because it is not possible for young children to get whole packet and go to home. They buy one or two cigarettes and they smoke it on the spot and go at home. So we are trying to ban on selling of loose cigarettes. 100% tobacco free schools, we have already told about that. Tobacco free health institute, this is also we have included. An establishment of more tobacco cessation centers throughout the Maharashtra to help the people to quit the tobacco, or and to motivate farmers to grow alternative crop, because there is large number of farmers who are get, cropping this tobacco. So we are suggesting or we are motivating them to grow some other products and do not grow this tobacco plants. Next. Further goals, the state health department is planning. I have already told about this spitting ban on spitting. We will get this GR before 31st of May, which is our World No Tobacco Day. World No Tobacco Day. Considering the fact that spitting is also one of the major factor in COVID-19 spread, along with other communicable diseases. Next. Thank you. This is in short about what are the activities we are going, or we are trying to make our places and schools tobacco free. Like this today's topic is to create tobacco free workplace. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. All the attendees, if you have a questions, please write your questions in the Q&A box so we can address them. Meanwhile, I'll introduce our next speaker, Dr. Sharmila Pimple. She is chief of prevention oncology in Tata Memorial Center. She has done MBBS, MD diploma in cancer control and prevention, and she heads the department of prevention oncology in Tata Memorial Center. Ma'am, what do you? I think we don't have any questions as of now. People are asking, can we get this PPT? So,
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
At the outset, I thank the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Bharat Electricals for giving the invited talk for tobacco-free workplace and workforce. I also thank Dr. Duryodhan Chavan for simplifying the presentation at the outset, and he has very vividly described the scenario for Maharashtra and given a nice statistical presentation as to where we stand in terms of tobacco control. So, simplifying my job, I also head the WHO Collaborating Center for Cancer Prevention, Screening and Early Detection, and Tobacco Control and Prevention forms one of our major course of activities and for public health implementation also. So this World No Tobacco Day for 31st May stands for protecting youth from industry manipulation and preventing the youth from tobacco and nicotine use. So as stated, we have a huge tobacco lobby. One of the common questions being posed at every of the seminars and webinars is, if tobacco is so harmful, what is the government trying to do about it? Which of course Dr. Duryodhan Chavan stated as to the efforts which are being taken. But why can't we ban tobacco? So I mean, we cannot ban tobacco completely because of the huge tobacco lobby. Tobacco companies spend over 9 billion and more probably in marketing and advertising, and they want to continuously find new consumers, okay, to replace the ones that their products are killing, to maintain their revenue always. So here we stand in terms of the global tobacco related deaths. Okay, what we look at the 20th century and what going to be the manifestation for the 21st century. And this goes beyond the death toll for COVID-19 that we are looking at today. So, and the major share of this particular deaths mortality is going to be borne by the lower middle income countries like us. So for India, it's not only about, I mean, there are two forms of tobacco generally we talk about, the smoking ones and the smokeless one. And India bears the burden of also the smokeless tobacco consumption. The amount of smokeless tobacco consumption, 60% of our tobacco consumption is in the form of smokeless tobacco, and it's available in varied forms. The way we are culturally diverse in our across the country, we are culturally diverse in terms of the various forms of tobacco that are being taken in the form of smoking forms, smokeless forms, and the applied forms also. So taking cognizant of the same, it's very important that we have to look at the adverse health effects associated with tobacco use. So most of you are fairly conversant that tobacco is harmful, and tobacco affects all aspects of the health, okay, across the body system, including causing cancers, cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, fertility related implications in terms of reproductive complications, osteoporosis, dental problems, eye problems, post-operative complications, just taking you across in terms of cancer. I mean, my center is located in one of the premier cancer centers of the country at Tata Memorial Hospital, and we witness tobacco related cancers. There are various types of cancers, and tobacco causes varied types of cancers and is one of the major risk factors for all this. Well, what causes, what is it that in the tobacco? The various ingredients in the form of various carcinogens, which are already manifest in tobacco. There are more than thousands of products which are listed, out of which more than 300 to 400 are carcinogenic types. And how do they act? The compounds which are found within the tobacco either act as carcinogens, which can initiate tumors, they can promote tumors, they can act as co-carcinogens, just enhance the mutagenic potential of the carcinogens which are already existing, or merely act as irritants, which are the primary fundamental principles for initiation of any cancer in the body by inducing inflammation and compromising the tissue integrity, which is so crucial. So just to take you, like, I mean, as I said, our major important problem within our country is also smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco is something chewable form of tobacco. And we are leading across the globe today in India, wherein India bears the major burden of oral cancers in the, globally. More than 25% of the oral cancers are emanating from India. And this is just to give you a glimpse in terms of the varied, this is our oral cavity. It gives rise to ulceration wherever it is kept in the mouth, usually in the buccal mucosa. Okay, this is like, I mean, these are typical sites wherein the chewable tobacco is usually kept for longer hours of time, creating inflammation, ulceration, and further leading to manifestation of tumors like this, which are oral cancers. In all, I mean, most of the times, I mean, these tobacco is chewed with various other ingredients like betel quid, erica nuts, etc., which can give rise to submucosal fibrosis, which leads to some restriction in the opening of the oral cavity, that is mouth. And this is what we do not want to see. And this is what we still keep seeing in this particular major hospital, despite the good intent of implementation of tobacco control measures, despite having a good law, despite having good policy. Where we fail is implementation, enforcement. Okay, herein, I mean, we have a ban in a majority of the states in our country. Okay, wherein gutka and pan masala is banned. Okay, but this is what we get the presentations as yet. Okay, that is availability of all this in black markets. Okay, consumption of this. Okay, and people still presenting in late stages of manifestation of oral cancers. And this is the sad news for the country. Okay, so despite having some good warning, pictorial warnings, though this is in English, okay, this has been converted into Marathi and regional languages also. Despite all this, okay, and this just talks about the kind of addiction potential that tobacco has, wherein despite knowing the harms, despite presenting the harms, people are still getting addicted, still not able to leave tobacco and continue consumption of tobacco. And besides cancer, yes, like, I mean, I'll just take you swiftly across the various other organs which are included, which are impacted by tobacco use, including coronary heart diseases, like, I mean, myocardial infarction, heart attacks, cerebrovascular diseases resulting in stroke, paralysis, abdominal aortic aneurysms, peripheral arterial diseases. Smoking impacts respiratory organs majorly in the form of acute respiratory diseases as well as chronic respiratory diseases, okay, which are one of the major comorbidities which we are manifesting now in today's COVID condition. It reduces lung function. Those who are asthmatic has poor asthma control. It leads to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Smoking also impacts reproductive health in the form of reduced fertility in women, pregnancy and pregnancy-related complications and bad outcomes, and of course, infant mortality in some cases. Smoking leads to osteoporosis. Tobacco consumption in general leads to osteoporosis. And of course, this is something which impacts the younger generation in terms of earlier onset of cataract, premature graying, skin wrinkling. When we address the youth, okay, sometimes cancer or cardiovascular diseases is something which will manifest in their 50s or 60s in the old age, but they get, they get impacted and they get serious about this earlier onset of cataract or premature graying or skin wrinkling also. And of course, and the most important thing, the post-operative complications which are related to the use of tobacco use. Most of the surgical wound complications and respiratory complications are more manifest in people who are using tobacco in some form. So why World No Tobacco Day is important? So it's important because like every year we come out with a theme like this year, okay? It shows us how the tobacco industry contributes to the poverty. It warns us of the dangers of secondhand smoke. Okay, sometimes I mean we feel so comfortable, oh he's smoking, I mean how does it affect me? No, passive smoking affects the same way to the people around the person who is smoking. We need to educate the youth. As they say, the best way to quit smoking is to never start in the first place. Okay, so not initiating the, putting in practices, strategies, approaches in place, okay, wherein we can stop initiation of the tobacco in the younger generation. And of course, it demonstrates how the tobacco industry damages the environment in terms of the kind of tobacco crop requirements for pesticides, fertilizers, the toxic elements that are seeping into the water supplies and the soil, the manufacturing processes which are creating the humongous amount of waste, which is consuming millions of hectares of land, and of course the deforestation which is required. A new generation is trying to getting hooked on nicotine because of the various tactics used by the tobacco industry, and we need to mitigate that. It's important that we mitigate that the tobacco industry is targeting our youth. Dr. Duryodhan, of course, has clearly demonstrated how our tobacco and related industries are manipulating our youth in various ways. So I will not take you again on the same journey, but I want to here, emphasize upon certain elements which are, certain newer products, okay, which are very popular among the adolescents and adults both. So we have a two-way problem, okay, the urban component in terms of trying to look at new products, okay, and the rural component, okay, which is more hooked onto smokeless forms of tobacco and giving rise to the amount of morbidity and mortality which is related to oral cancers. So herein, especially talking about the shisha and e-cigarettes, okay, e-cigarettes common nicknames are all these types in terms of it's also used as a vaping instrument. So whether it's form of vape pens, mods, hookah pens, e-hookahs, and these all produce or aerosolized mixture containing the flavored liquids which are used and the nicotine that is inhaled by the user. So e-cigarettes are made to resemble rather traditional tobacco products like cigarettes or cigars and the common gadgets like the flashlights or flash drives or pens, which can be easily carried by the today's youth, and they identify with this kind of products. So world over, there has been reports of death related to vaping. Outbreaks of severe lung diseases have been reported across United States, which were related to vaping. And there are a lot of studies which are going on, which has caused a lot of severe illness and deaths across United States. So the solution in e-cigarette devices and the vapors contains harmful chemicals, okay, including carcinogens. E-cigarettes are being used to smoke or vape substances like marijuana, herbs, waxes, and the other oils, okay. The nicotine in e-cigarette is addictive and can cause brain damage and in fact harm the development of the brain among the younger adults. And secondhand smoke or vapor from the e-cigarettes is equally harmful to the growing lungs. So that's important. So how does the industry, tobacco industry, counter this? Okay, so you would be amazed to find counter tobacco industry tactics which are reported in the news. So millions of e-cigarette users around the world will be celebrating World Vape Day on May 30th. Okay, so this is amazing, and this is where the anti-tobacco lobby, okay, people, the policy makers need to pay attention to in terms of World Vape Day, which is aiming to raise awareness on e-cigarettes or vapes and encourage, in fact, smokers who are unable to quit on their own or with currently available smoking cessation tools to switch to safer nicotine option products. Okay, they call it safer nicotine products. So industry interference is seen in many ways. Tobacco industry deploys strategies to undermine tobacco control efforts by various ways in terms of media manipulation, undermining the science also to the extent that, recently they were looking at scientific articles or scientific, trying to create research data wherein tobacco, it's world over proven thing, tobacco is associated with cancers. Tobacco is associated with various other diseases, okay, but they want to mitigate that in a different way. they file litigation. I mean, the litigations filed will be shown lower visibility, whereas the usurping of the agenda, they would create illusions of support, lobbying and hijacking of the legislative processes, wherein, I mean, they place their own elements, okay, by framing policies. So, I mean, industry interference have to be closely watched, and one has to be very alert about where they could be interfering. So the facts for e-cigarettes and shisha smoke remains that e-cigarette use increases your risk of heart disease, lung disorders, okay? It's highly addictive drug and can damage children's developing brains. Smoking shisha is just as harmful as other forms of tobacco use. And smokeless doesn't mean that it is harmless, okay? Shisha smoke is toxic. It contains substances that can causes cancer. So e-cigarettes are not recommended as a way to quit smoking. They are not a safe alternative to cigarette smoking at all. And well, I mean, in today's COVID times, since water pipe smoking is typically an activity that takes place within larger groups in public settings, okay, these can increase the risk of transmission of the diseases, which can also encourage the transmission of the COVID-19 in social gatherings. So in today's COVID times, any forms of tobacco is not essential. Okay, and the WHO has specifically issued some of the circulars or warnings against use of tobacco. So COVID-19 preys on our lungs, okay, while the tobacco industry makes them more vulnerable, makes people more vulnerable to COVID-related situations. So what's the WHO statement on tobacco use and COVID-19? So we all understand today that COVID is an infectious disease that primarily attacks the lungs, okay? So experts world over, which were being convened by WHO, found that smokers are more likely to develop severe disease with COVID-19 compared to the non-smokers. Smoking, as we understand now, okay, impairs lung functions, making it harder for the body to fight off the viruses and other diseases, okay? And as we understand, there is a clarity about, you know, the major risk, I mean, tobacco being a major risk factors for so many other non-communicable diseases, okay, which are putting the people at higher risk for developing severe illnesses. So we all understand that today we are talking about medically, technically, who are the people who are suffering this, I mean, people, the fatality rate, the mortality or deaths are more among people who are having comorbid conditions like cardiovascular diseases, I mean, people who are compromised on their respiratory functions and other non-communicable diseases. So available research do suggest that smokers are, or tobacco users are at a higher risk of developing severe disease and death. So what are the possible relations between the tobacco use and the COVID-19 pandemic? So like there's a lot of evidence, not only from China, but I mean the European nations also, okay, which have shown that cardiovascular and respiratory conditions caused by tobacco use or otherwise also are making the people at high risk of developing the COVID-19 symptoms. So as we understand, tobacco use is the most important risk factor for chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. I mean, how do they act? Okay, there's a lot of swelling and rupturing of the air sacs in the lungs. Typically in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, it reduces the lungs' capacity to take in oxygen as well as expel carbon dioxide, so resulting in breathing difficulties. So smoking is associated with increased development of a typical condition known as acute respiratory distress syndrome, typically known as ARDS, which is a key complication for severe cases of COVID-19 among people with respiratory compromise or infections. So tobacco use in general thus ups your risk and increases the chance of adverse health outcomes of COVID-19 patient. It doesn't mean that all the tobacco users are going to be dying of the disease, but we are increasing the chances of admission to intensive care, requiring mechanical ventilation, and of course suffering from severe health consequences also. So most smokers and tobacco users want to quit, but they find it extremely difficult because of the extreme addictiveness of nicotine. Nicotine is considered one of the most addictive substances in the world globally, more addictive than even marijuana. So tobacco users in any form, tobacco users in any form of tobacco use need help. They need help to quit tobacco. So many people start experimental in terms of, oh, nothing happens to me, and I would be able to quit it as and when I want, but it never happens that way. One needs help to quit tobacco, and establishing tobacco cessation support is crucial, either in-house, within the industry, if it's feasible, giving access to M cessation programs to the employees, helping them quit, or access to tobacco cessation clinics. Tobacco cessation clinics works in different ways, and it's a subject topic of its own. But giving access to cessation programs or the cessation clinics is crucial for employee support who are wanting to quit. And as said, if you are if you're using tobacco in any form, okay, we are one of the centers, the Department of Preventive Oncology, located at Tata Memorial Hospital in Parel, okay, where we are offering support, okay, of behavioral support as well as pharmacotherapy for quitting tobacco. We are giving tobacco cessation support, and it can be accessed either via telemedicine or you can attend in person. In COVID times, telemedicine would be the crucial way or the critical way in which you can use this particular support. So a safe tobacco-free workplace cannot exist without a tobacco-free employee. It's important every industry, every workplace supports its employees, whoever are addicted, to make them tobacco-free by giving them the appropriate support and assistance in quitting. And quitting doesn't happen in a day. Okay, there are, lot of weeks, months involved till the time people get free or can help them. We can help them quit tobacco. So we are open to any industry who wants our support, either by tie up with the Department of Preventive Oncology in terms of providing the quitting support, cessation programs, conducting cessation programs for your employees in terms of typical workshop settings, okay, which helps in a programmed way, in a very systematic way to help cessation efforts. And I stop here and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sharmila. We have one question for you. If an e-cigarette contained with a nicotine bit not included tobacco, is this harmful?
Well, as I said, and as has been displayed, nicotine, whether in small doses or whatever moderate doses, as will be marketed by the industry, is addictive in whichever capacity, form, or volumes you are undertaking. So nicotine is addictive, and the addiction potential of the nicotine cannot be undermined, okay, in whichever doses you consume.
Thank you, Dr. Sharmila. We'll move forward, and I will call Ms. Madhura Talegaonkar. She is from Bajaj Electrical. She is head CSR at Bajaj Electrical and Bajaj Electrical Foundation. She is an expert with the 15 years of more experience, corporate social responsibility and diversity and inclusion and volunteering. Her previous experience includes working and consulting investment bank, media house and other corporate on CSR. Over to you, Ms. Madhura Talegaonkar.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After such an impactful talk by Dr. Duryodhan and something so profound and so moving, I'm just, again thinking of how to connect the dots with what the government is doing, with such a passionate talk by Dr. Sharmila, and what we are trying to do in this space as a corporate. I think there is a ample scope to connect the dots. I'm very happy. I can see a great number of participation also from different corporates. And a lot of learnings can be exchanged and we can take it forward from here. I'm going to use the next 10 to 12 minutes to talk about what we have done, how we have done, and what our journey has been so far. So we'll go to the next slide. Yeah. So I quickly cover these topics. One is what we have done on tobacco control initiatives at Bajaj Electricals Limited. How we went from actually just talking, counseling, creating awareness sessions to actually moving towards having an anti-tobacco policy in place, which talks what like Dr. Sharmila ended her last slide with, is not just talk about a workplace, because there are a lot of laws which and possible to implement those, but we moved a step ahead to talk about a tobacco-free workforce. And it's not easy because we had to create a whole wherewithal around it, before it, and after it, to make the policy a big success. We also have co-opted our employees as volunteers. We train them as anti-tobacco crusaders, and they go on and volunteer their time in the different areas which they are working in, different communities they get engaged in. So be it our marketing teams, be it our sales teams, be it our supply chain quality control teams, be it our factory sites, vendor sites, these crusaders are now getting formally trained through a training process, partnering with organizations like Salam Mumbai Foundation, getting some trainings and exposure on the right ways to talk about it. So, I mean, while you can have the good intent, but you also need to be properly trained to take the right message across to the right stakeholders. What we have done with our tobacco-free workforce and a workplace program at the factory sites, how we have again partnered with civil society organizations in the sphere of tobacco and have launched the tobacco-free school programs and the mass media outreach through campaigns around the World No Tobacco Day. Now, one thing was like, if you would ask me a couple of years earlier, if I had to sell this program, technically sell, I'm talking about to corporates. One is, even if I would prove the, return on investment, the cost benefit ratio on, the corporates do make a strong investment, where would actually the funds come from? Fortunately, the CSR Act under the Schedule 7 allows investments in promoting preventive healthcare and tobacco, anti-tobacco, all this work sits under that beautifully. So you can make some funds available to ensure that your employees, the families, the spheres of influences can actually join hands to work with the stakeholders, the communities around you, and make them tobacco free. Next. Yeah. So how did we start? Was our inspiration, like I said, Mr. Shekhar Bajaj, who is our CMD, and Mrs. Kiran Bajaj, who was the founder director of an organization called Paryavaran Mitra in Chabdam, works in the field of environment, very passionately, working on conserving the environment, conserving the regional languages, and also now the health of the communities that she is dedicatedly working on. Now, when we had this kind of an experience, we thought that when we have so many companies within the Bajaj Group, we should also start step by step to work systematically with our own employees and see how we are placed. So in 2010, along with a lot of partner organizations, Mumbai was also there, and a lot of other organizations, they started this campaign called as Kick Off the Tobacco Dragon. Initially, it was more focused on just purely the employees, because you have larger control and you can direct them. But it was, believe me, what I would call is a very sensitive and a very patriarchal kind of an approach, where our CMD actually, issued letters to, we did surveys, we issued letters to employees who were consuming tobacco. We started counseling them. Our HOD, our senior management, was fortunately completely tobacco free. Now, as a company with its own history and legacy and values, we didn't have a great number to work upon, but we were very clear that whatever number that would come across, we would work with them consistently. We had a little bit of a Gandhian approach to it. An approach to actually have a personal contact, So imagine you actually get a call from the CMD and saying that, can I help you in quitting tobacco? What exactly do you need to do about this? So that's how our journey really began. But as we grew and when we realized we need to continuously sustain those efforts, and so then the CSR department came into the picture, and then we spread our work to the factory sites. We had to take in some expert organizations who would then take on the professional work. And the work has continued over the last decade. We actually have a policy in place. We do annual surveys, and you can actually see that we are actually 99% tobacco free. Through surveys, there are a lot of people who nominate themselves, which is less than about a percent, but we continuously work with them again, so that they again commit, they go for the counseling. We have again partnered with a cessation program in place, so that 1% also eventually, it's a dream or a vision to be 100% tobacco free. Next. So you can see here that work began in 2010, but finally a formal policy in place was there in 2018. This policy is advocated very strongly, like you have your policy on sexual harassment. We also advocate and we educate our employees on such policies. We very strongly educate our employees on what is the policy, what does it mean to be tobacco-free workforce, which means you don't really smoke in the workplace. You'll be committed to not smoking in anywhere, be it outside, be it at your home or whatever, which technically means you are tobacco-free completely. And you take on this very, very strong commitment. Even now, after 2018, onboarding new employees, this has been told even right from the interview stage that this is where we are heading, this is what our direction is, and we can help you out with this, and you're welcome if you are able to work along these kinds of commitments. The policy also is actually reinforced annually through our annual surveys before the World No Tobacco Day. That I have read the policy, I understand what it really means. We do, like I said, annual surveys where they do self-declarations again about whether they're tobacco free or not. And again, these are all confidential. So if they are not, we have now put them through counseling services so that they would not fall back or they would not relapse. Next. Yeah, so now how do we even co-opt? Each company also has a strong emphasis, if you all would know, the corporates especially, on employee volunteer programs. Now, this being a little bit of a tough cookie, actually, and how do you build an appreciation around the fact that the company is investing so much of time, the senior management, the topmost management is very dedicated. So it trickles down gradually to actually look at our own stakeholders and how we can influence beyond our immediate circle, which is our employees, and how we can take it more and more further. So like, for example, since we are a consumer appliance company and an electricals company, we have a lot of sites where our projects are getting implemented. We have a sales team which is working with distribution networks. So we have created this pipeline of actually dedicated volunteers who have gone through an extensive training and would then actually work with specific communities or stakeholders that they would engage in. So like your vendors who are actually working, they also have certain number of workers who are working on sites. You have your distribution networks. They would identify these stakeholders and would work with them on very interesting creative programs. The marketing team pitches in to actually give a definition to how these programs can be worked. Like I said, if you can see the list, and also through volunteering, you can opt for schools, colleges, vocational institutions, whichever is possible. You're going to go for campus hires. You work and talk to those colleges what we are, along with your regular core business. We launched a very interesting program last year with the distribution network called as Power of 50. So along with the training that they've had, along with the intent that they've had, the sales team worked with the distribution network. The officers who are basically connect between the corporates and the distribution networks at the end mile, at the last mile. We did a little bit of a survey and we found out many of them were almost 40-50% were consuming tobacco. We had to undergo again a whole lot of training and awareness programs, and many of them volunteered in the first phase to join hands and work on quitting tobacco. Like you can see, 57 of them became tobacco free. They stayed tobacco free after the program for about 50 days. And then they were through a triangulation process identifying, we honored them, we felicitated them. And that's why the program was called Power of 50, because they completed the program and yet they could abstain for 50 days at a stretch. And then we are moving into phase 2. So this is how even our employees are volunteering, because these are the stakeholders which they are working in shop demonstrators, your customer care dealer networks, who are working on so every stakeholder is also being influenced to be tobacco free. Next. Yeah. So now we've also had specific now factory sites where Bajaj Electricals Limited is actually operational. It's more easier for us because it's a captive place for us to run our welfare programs, CSR programs, habit forming or habit changing programs. So this Kick Off the Tobacco Dragon, which program we started in 2010. we also started working with our factory sites. I think 4 of the sites have been covered so far. We've also extended this program to the factory sites of the group companies. So it starts with a big process. You can see that you have to start training the senior management, sensitize them, emphasize on the importance of having this program. You need to form an internal tobacco awareness committee, control committee, which is continuously going to engage with different stakeholders, because there you will have employee, you will have staff, you will have labor, permanent workers, you will have contractual laborers, you will have the movement of people coming in and out for your material. So a lot of reach can happen, but at the same time, it's a little more complex to actually plan your programs, but still it's captive, they're with you for longer periods, and you can actually do wonders. So we again engage with expert organizations. Life First is a program, joint initiative of Salam Bombay and Narottam Seksaria. They come on board as a partner. They work with once we do the linkages, and it's an extensive program for almost 4 to 6 months. And then, we actually go through a proper cessation program, and we've had very, very good results and appreciation letters, not just from the factory workers, but even their family members. Next. Again, like I think Sharmila had also said, and Dr. Duryodhan had also said, that obviously in this prevention is always better than cure, and here it's not even cure, it's an addiction, and there's always a chance with a relapse. And again, the amount of intensive engagement that is required for cessation, especially in addiction, anybody who's working in this sphere would know. So obviously we would also want to work and target on prevention. Now, what happens is everybody knows the ill effects of tobacco, but then why is it still that people still get attracted to working on it? Why do children feel the need for it? Why do the youth feel it cool to smoke? When it is really, really not. So we engage in these programs with the different organizations largely. Believe me, the return on investment is excellent over here. The goodwill that gets created, the district administration is willing to work along with you. You're reaching out to schools. You're actually trying to work on cessation with the school authorities, the staff who's actually consuming tobacco, ensuring that the children get properly educated. And you get to know so many things, about their families, about the schools, and then, how you can actually make that school tobacco free. So even if you can see the outreach, we have reached approximately to 3,350 schools in Maharashtra. Around 4 lakh children have been through this program. We have had different ways in which we have been operational. Salam Mumbai has been there, Muktangan has been there. We have run internship programs in colleges such as ISME. So we're trying to even bridge the gap between the elite institutions who have it all to actually volunteer time with schools which really need an effort and talk about these programs. And they've worked consistently over a month to engage with the schools, design the program, audiovisual material, and actually did a very successful internship program with us. We also worked with the Indian Dental Association, and they've done excellent trainings for us where working with the school children are concerned, declaring them tobacco free are concerned, emphasizing on the 12-point program. I think CBSE is also listed out. So a lot of it keeps happening continuously, and it needs to be done again and again to be re-emphasized. Next. So along with that, the only area which we have not strongly worked on is advocacy, because it takes a lot of effort to work on that, and there are already very big established organizations which are directly working with different areas to advocate for bringing about changes in the laws. But apart from that, since we are in a different space, we have also tried to connect to a larger audience, especially our consumers, to people in the urban and the rural areas with very interesting campaigns like the Dabbawalas. We had worked with them. We got a very big visibility with that kind of an event where they took upon an oath to quit tobacco, some of them. And then they also reached out to almost more than 1 lakh people with the best transport, with the police personnel. We've also done an online cause-related marketing in tobacco. I'm very, very sure that not many of the companies have done that. You will hear a lot of things about, you buy this and somebody will, a child will get this, or you can give something like this. But for the first time, we actually connected with our products and online marketing with the fact that, talking about tobacco and saying that if you are interested, please know something about tobacco and help a person in a rural area get an oral screening done, who can potentially be a pitfall for, say, oral cancer. And that's the kind of linkage when we have done with the mass media outreach. and reaching out to the audience year on year. Last, I think 2 years, we've been working with Bombay Chambers to reach out to other corporates. How do we leverage the experience and expertise that can be gathered, with all the organizations that are working, government, non-government, media, medical fraternity, corporates, to ensure that we can bring educational institutions to bring about a larger change. So this has been happening the last 2 years, talking to larger corporates, and we are now willing to also invest a little further if corporates need a little bit of more support to connect the dots. Sharmila has also offered. Dr. Duryodhan has also already given his plan, and I myself can find a lot of space in which I can connect to the two of them and actually bring about. And we already work with the organization that's going to speak after me extensively, so can see a better program design coming in the near future. Next. Yeah. So Sharmila talked about tobacco consumption and COVID. So we also want that the message of healthy lungs and safe for you. And we also have planned a small campaign called as Quit Corona, which is like, obviously we are in the times of COVID pandemic, and it increases your risk and vulnerability that's been talked about. So it's better to actually reverse your own cycle. And there are evidences and there's a lot of data which actually says you quit today and the benefits you start reaping in an hour to almost 20 years, how you're going to reverse the damages that have been done. So there is no good time to quit but right now. So this is a campaign which we are working on, and in this particular year we'll be focusing on this. I thank all of you for being here, for listening, and I really hope you've triggered a little bit of an interest in ensuring I can take it further. We're going to have now an interesting presentation from Himanshu, who's going to talk about all the efforts in the NGO sphere. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you, Mathura. There is one question for you, ma'am. Is your anti-tobacco policy available on your website, and can we have access to it?
The anti-tobacco policy is an internal policy, but we can definitely share the drafts and what the policy is for Bajaj Electricals. I'll just check with the HR, and we'll definitely share the draft of what it is. But it's an internal policy document available in the internal HR portal. If the HR gives a go ahead, we'll share with it. But we also have created a toolkit, a manual, where we have drawn, and there are lots of drafts and templates available, but they are more in the Western context. We'll share that too. And if I get a go ahead, I will share our policy also. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhur ma'am. Now I'll invite Dr. Himanshu Gupte. He is a general. Hello. He is a general manager in Narottam Sakshiral Foundation. He's a medical doctor with a master's degree in preventive and social medicine, with an experience of working with national and international NGOs in the field of public health. He is working almost more than 20 years. He's currently leading the implementation of the Life First Tobacco Treatment Service, and is responsible for monitoring and evaluation of the services in the hospitals, schools, workplace, and expansion of the service to the new settings, with a major contribution to trainings and research activities of the project. Over to you, Dr. Himanshu.
Thank you, Anya. Good evening, everyone. And thank you very much, Bombay Chamber and the Bajaj Electrical Foundation for this opportunity. So I would just, yeah. So thank you for giving this opportunity for sharing our experience about implementing the tobacco-free workplace and tobacco-free workforce program that we have been doing for some time now. So I would just start with an introduction to the program as and yeah, it's a joint collaboration between Narottam Sakshiral Foundation and the Salam Bombay Foundation, and was started in 2012. Has been functioning in different settings since then. Workplaces is of course one of them, but we also function in healthcare facilities, providing tobacco cessation through our own counselors or through trainings that conducting for different kinds of healthcare providers like doctors, nurses. A lot of dentists have been trained by us in the recent times. We also work in the communities and through partner organizations. And we also have a structured program for the schools as well for helping students who are already onto tobacco use, who are already into supari use, which is a gateway product for tobacco. And we do conduct theme-based activities over there and have a program for the schools as well. So this was just a summary of the Life First program. In fact, we also work with the NTCP at the state level, closely collaborating with Dr. Sadhna Taide and her team, working with of Maharashtra as a support unit and providing trainings to all the staff of the NTCP, the district consultants, the counselors, the social workers, as a part of our technical support activity that we are doing. So coming back to the workplaces, I think Madhura has given quite a background about why tobacco cessation in the workplaces, why it is important to talk about tobacco control within the workplaces. So I'll just go through it very quickly. So this is the place where a tobacco consumer is more likely to experience an injury. There are hazards of the tobacco is spending the most interactive hours of his or her day. That is why more likely to pick up good or bad habits. So there is a significant effect on the people's lifestyle choices that the workplaces are having. The workplaces gives access to a group as a sort of in crude terms, a captive sort of an audience wherein they are easy to access, they are easy to work upon because of the herd kind of a mentality that they are having and are going with. So overall, this is giving us a unique opportunity to address people's health. In the context of tobacco control, this can be done by offering a tobacco-free working environment to them, by encouraging those who are actually using tobacco products to quit and helping them in that process of quitting, which we'll be looking at how we are doing it. We can harness the support of colleagues when they are attempting to quit, because again, this is an environment which is working upon them and not just that individual which is behaving in a particular manner. And we can also help them who are already tobacco free to stay that way, because again, looking at the influence of the tobacco of the workplace that it is having on the people, this is important in this. So for an employer, what are the advantages of having a tobacco free workplace? First of all, yes, like our first point over there on the earlier side, reduce risk of injury and accidents. We are looking at now more healthier employees who are more active. There is reduced absenteeism. There is increased productivity. So, and these are not just anecdotal things that I am mentioning over here. Lots of studies done on this, and from the results of those, this has been established. So what we are also looking at is from the point of view, this is a way of displaying greater commitment to the health and welfare of their own employees, which is a positive image, not just within the in the workplace, but also with our community, and is looked upon as a good workplace to work with. So based on all this, what is it that we do at Life First within the workplaces? So what we are doing at is looking at creating awareness about ill effects of tobacco. This is not just for the tobacco users, but also for the non-tobacco users, because they also play a very important role in this kind of an ecosystem. The second objective is to reduce the prevalence of tobacco use by helping people to quit. So we have a structured counseling program, which is a 6-month program, and we will go through the details soon. And the third point is to create and rewards being tobacco free. So this is here we are talking about the workplace as such. So the first two objectives were related to the workforce, and the third one is related to the workplace. And we're going to look at all the three in details. So our experience so far has been with 16 different work sites across India. Like you see over here, we have been in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. We started our journey 8 years back. We have covered a few of these industries. So there has been cement industry, electrical industries, garments, there has been pharma industry, and these have been manufacturing units. Some of them have been corporate offices. There have been R&D units. There have been shipping terminals. So in urban as well as rural settings. And talking of the company size, it has been as small as 200 employees to as large as 3,000 employees that we dealt with. Some of these workplaces had some tobacco related rules to begin with. Some of them actually had some policies in place but not being implemented. Some of them had some checks within the companies, and on the other hand, some companies did not have anything at all related to tobacco. Just a brief look at the number that we issued. 12,000 employees, out of which 8,800 individually personally attended our awareness sessions. So these are typically half an hour to 45-minute sessions that are conducted within the workplaces, either in their conference rooms or in some convenient locations like the tea breaks or the tea rooms, tea booths in some companies. And we are also on top floor when the above two are not possible. These awareness sessions, what come next is actually registering people for the company service or the program. These awareness sessions, we had around 7% of all the attendees. These are tobacco users as well as non-users. These are all employees of the company who attend program. Around 2,300 have registered for the program so far. Most of them were families in the Hello. Hello. I'm sorry, I had lost internet for some time. I don't know for how long. So should I start from this slide?
Hello.
Yeah, so what I was discussing is in terms of the numbers reached in the 16 workplaces that I described on the previous slide. So there have been different kinds of companies that we have worked with, from small to
Dr. Himanshu, you are there?
yes, yes. I think I had lost the connection for some time. Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Himanshu. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Sharing my screen again. Just looking at the outcomes of tobacco cessation interventions that we have provided in these settings. So out of the 2,300 odd employees who had registered for our program, we could follow up 70% of them till the end of 6 months. And at 6 months, this was the state. So 51% of all the registered ones, not just the followed up one, all who were registered for the program said that this is self-reported that they had not used tobacco. They have stopped their tobacco use. 10% have reduced their tobacco use. 9% have made a quit attempt. But sadly, because of some reason, they relapsed into their habit again. And a few 8% did not show any change at all in their behavior. So like Dr. Sharmila was also mentioning that this is a really difficult behavior to quit, and because of the high addiction, we do have these sort of results. And just to compare the results with other settings, with other programs, 51%, you must agree, is a very good number to have, even discounting for the self-reporting bit that we have. So this was in terms of the people. Now in terms of the workplaces, the changes that have occurred after the implementation of the program, we've had workplaces which have declared itself as tobacco-free workplaces. We've had workplaces who have now a written policy document which they did not have before and are implementing it to the T, including some actions for compliance with the policy. There have been guidelines launched in some of the workplaces. Some of the workplaces have changed their safety regulations. They did have regulations about smoking on campus or smoking within the workplace, but now after the program, they have also included the smokeless tobacco form, and all forms of tobacco are now banned on a few of those workplaces. So these are actually impacts on the workplaces themselves and also on the employees who are in those workplaces. These are a few testimonials without the names. So these are some CMDs, chairman, chief medical officers of the companies of whom we are working with. Some of them are large groups, and we work with multiple companies within that group also. And yeah, like Madhura was also mentioning, it's really rewarding to get those feedback from not just the management, not just the employees, but also the families who are involved in this program and who feel the benefit of this program being implemented. So just quickly going on to a particular company, a case study that I would like to share. The reason for selecting this company was not that because the results were very good. In fact, this was the most challenging company that we have worked with. It is a manufacturing unit in Uttar Pradesh. It already had a tobacco-free policy in place, but in spite of the policy, there was a high prevalence of reported tobacco use among the employees. And tobacco use was a culture in that region itself. I'm not talking of the company here, but in the region itself. That district of Uttar Pradesh is very famous for a particular form of tobacco, and it is known by the name of the district over there. So tobacco use was within the culture and was a part of their routine daily life among a large number of employees. The last 2 points over there are to just highlight the nature of the employees that were there. The average age was 45 years and they had been working in the company for more than 20 years. So really tough nuts to crack in all senses. So what we did over there, total number of employees were 443. We managed to sensitize on a personal level, at individual level, 84% of them, which was a really high number, looking at the nature of their jobs and the nature of the employees over there. And surprisingly, at the end of the awareness sessions, we had a 47% registration, which was really high as compared to what we were thinking of initially. And again, something to note over here was there were people from the management grade, there were people from the supervisor grade, which was something against our past experience, because these people feel that this program is only for the workers. Some of them feel that I am educated, I know everything, I don't need support, I don't need counseling for help. So this is generally the attitude among the management grade that we see in other settings. But here we saw something different. In terms of the tobacco use, what we saw was that smokeless, as everywhere, was the predominant form. Some smoking 19%, and there were a few dual users, which was 9%. When we were doing our counseling and our counselors were applying the Fagerstrom test for nicotine dependence, which is used to test the level of dependence and to look at what kind of therapy would be required. So what we found is there were very high levels of dependence within with this people who had enrolled, and the number of tobacco use, the number of years of tobacco use with them was also high. A lot of them had been using tobacco for more than 20 years. So thus, this was a really challenging atmosphere that we were working with. In spite of that, when we come to look at the outcomes, what we have over here is at 6 months, 78% could be followed up. Among them, there were 42% of them who reported as not using any form of tobacco. They had stopped their tobacco habit. 32% had managed to reduce their tobacco use, and 22% had made quit attempts. They had quit for some time, but had relapsed due to some reason. At the end of these 6 months, there was an event which was conducted in the company. We cannot say that the company now became tobacco free on paper because they already had a policy over there. But what they decided was that we will implement the policy in a better way. Now that we have so many workers who have already quit, we want to continue this. We want to sustain this effort and keep doing it. So I'll just take you through the process of what actually happened in this company, which could be repeated in a lot of companies, and this is the general protocol that we have been following in our Life First Workplace program. So what we do initially in the phase 1 and 2, which is a preparatory phase, as for and the availability, starting with the sensitization of the management. There is a core committee which is formed from within the, not just the management, but all kinds of employees, representatives from different departments are there. We have focus group discussions with them to understand the status, understand the policy, understand the situation, and try to work with them on how we would be implementing it. Then we actually conduct a situational analysis, which is a form of a survey plus a few interviews with employees, again with representations from all the departments, with users, non-users, both providing their inputs about their perceptions regarding the policy, regarding the tobacco use in the company. After this, we formulate our sort of intervention, go back to the company, discuss it with them. And then comes the phase 3, which is actual implementation, the launch of the program with an awareness session. Like I said earlier, these are followed by recruitment, or as we call is the voluntarily registrations into the program, which is done at the end of each of the awareness session. And here what we also saw was there was a lot of motivation from the side after the awareness sessions, which also helped in increasing the number of registrations over here. Then there is a counseling which is happening over 6 months. Behavior modification techniques, motivational interviewing is used, and there are periodic follow-ups. There is a structured protocol for these follow-ups which we are following. The follow-ups are both face-to-face as well as telephonic, depending on the location, and it's a mix of both that we are implementing. The last point in phase 4 over there is actual training of anti-tobacco champions. So these are champions who are identified from within the company, again from different departments. These are enthusiastic lot of people who are to help all colleagues from quitting tobacco, and later on these are the ones who are going to sustain the effort. These are the ones who are going to carry forward that environment of being tobacco free. So we conduct trainings for them. So these are not just awareness sessions, but actually giving them tips and tricks of tobacco cessation, about advocacy, about what can be done when we are no longer there with the program. And we end the program by reinforcing the tobacco-free workplace policy. If it is not there, putting it in place. So roughly this whole program is taking somewhere around 9 months to a year, out of which 6 months is the actual counseling process which goes on and is supported by the other activities as we have mentioned over here. So the highlights of this program, particularly in this plant, which helped in the successful implementation of the program, were very supportive management to begin with, and right from the beginning, the management at the corporate office, at the plant level was really supportive. There was involvement of the employees right from the beginning in terms of the situational analysis, implementation, coordination everywhere. The active core committee played a very important role, and it had representation from the HR, from the security. There were heads of departments, there were union representatives in it. So everyone was over there. There was high coverage of the awareness sessions, especially because of the efforts of the HR department over here, who had meticulously planned all the schedules for the awareness sessions. Then the plant management was involved in motivating the users to sign up for the program. The anti-tobacco champions were really enthusiastic. They took part in the training. We had a repeat training session, like a refresher session also for them in the plant over there, and the regular follow-ups that our counselors were conducting. All this is like a recipe for the success of the tobacco cessation program, and not just tobacco cessation at an individual level, but like we are talking of a tobacco-free workplace and a tobacco-free workforce together. So this is what is helpful. This is what is can be taken up by other companies, and like the Tata Memorial Hospital has come forward. Similarly, Life First is open to helping companies take this up, and we can take them through this entire process of creating the tobacco-free workplace and a tobacco-free workforce, including the implementation of the policy as well, creating awareness materials and whatever is required to that effect. So these are just glimpses of the entire program, starting with sensitization of the management, then the awareness sessions being conducted at different locations within the company, in somewhere in actual conference rooms, training rooms, and somewhere also on the shop floor over here, followed by individual counseling sessions, which were being done meticulously by our team over here. This is the Life First team in one of the plants that we are working with, and doing very diligent work, following up all the people, whether on phone or at their scheduled follow-up, visiting the plants and doing it over there. So these have been the partners of Life First right from the beginning of, not just for the place program, but we have institutional partners, research partners whom we are working with for our trainings as well. And thank you very much for this opportunity. These are the places where you could look out for us and get more information about the program. And like I said, for any further assistance to any of the companies who are attending this webinar right now, here is my number and my email ID, and you can contact me. So really, thank you very much, Bajaj Foundation and the Bombay Chamber again for this opportunity, and looking forward to interacting and taking this forward henceforth.
Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. Roshni, would you like to take questions?
Yes, thank you, Aniha. Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. So we have a few questions which was shared right now. So there is a question which if Dr. Himanshu or Dr. Duryodhan Chavan can answer. They have a question which is, how has COVID-19 impact addiction due to unavailability of tobacco? If one of you can answer this question. Dr. Himanshu, would you like to answer?
Yeah, sure. So yes, there have been both extremes that we have been hearing. So on one hand, lockdown, people are not able to go out of their houses, which is limiting their access to the tobacco shops as such. A lot of people cannot smoke at home, cannot use tobacco at home, because sometimes either the people at home, their family was not aware of the habit and they don't want to do it at home, or they are now aware of the risk of maybe the second-hand smoking, so they don't want to do it. Or now the added risk of the coronavirus and tobacco use. So that is also a reason for some people that they have stopped their tobacco use. So in a way, this is like Dr. Sharmila was also mentioning, that this is the correct time. This is a good time. And like we have been saying that any time is a good time for quitting, but this especially is a very good time because of all these instances that you need to quit now, looking at the relationship between corona and the tobacco use, also looking at the situation that we are. On the other hand, there are also some anecdotal experiences being shared. Of the other side that I was also talking of is where people are just flocking to tobacco shops when they have opened. A lot of black market happening, which is being reported. But these are all anecdotes. So on an overall basis, what we are seeing is people are staying away from tobacco. They are doing it either intentionally or intentionally. So this is an opportunity to take to strike and help these people to quit tobacco for good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Himanshu. Madhura ma'am, there is a question for you. So it's been asked that since it is an intensive engagement from HR or CSR point of view to have a tobacco-free workplace and a workforce, so is there any form that it is recognized, or is there is an accreditation to it in a corporate sphere?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Basically, working on tobacco prevention or cessation is one of the 4 pillars of our programs. We also work in other areas, but Bajaj Electricals as a company has actually embedded CSR and volunteering in its DNA. So we actually have X amount of hours that employees commit to volunteer throughout the year. We have something called a CSR departmental rating, annual rating. We have awards and recognitions at par for quarterly, half yearly, and annual for CSR and efforts taken. So like this Power Prachas program or a few other programs which the employees have taken the lead and initiative work on. But of course, one is tobacco, the others is the areas we work on. They are recognized at par with the others. And last year we had taken, we also work on some other projects like solar and off-grid communities. So best of the CSR champions, like you have for your sales teams, you know, the awards, the best of the best and the cream, and then they're taken somewhere annually. We'd actually taken them on a very long engagement in Leh Ladakh, where they actually spend time with the community, a little bit of responsibility, tourism, ecotourism, at the same time hands-on on one of our projects to work on where off-grid communities were being serviced with solar. So it was an interaction of everything. And the best part is where Bajaj Electrical is concerned, the management, the promoter family is very keen about CSR, individual responsibility, team level responsibility, departmental level CSR responsibility. So we have a lot of projects happening all the time. It's actually, quite full. Our plateau is really very full on the number of activities that we do. And that's why there is a great amount of recognition also for the efforts that are put in. And it is extremely important because the incentives or the other part would be very, very minimal, because everything cannot be monetized. But how do you feel an employee, make him or her feel good about the efforts or the connect that she has? Also, the amount of efforts that go in, our employees have been able to actually get a lot of core competencies and skills which have been able to help him, soft skills which have been able to help him become a better professional or a better manager. So we have been able to connect those dots and use this as a platform for enhancing their professional skills, personal skills, at the same time making them feel good about the work that they have done, and it being recognized at par with other awards and other recognition programs of the corporate. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Aniha, over to you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Roshni. We have with us Dr. Mr. Vijay Shirangan. He is a mentor of Bombay Chamber. I would like to over to you, sir, if you want to say a few words. Sir, are you there? I think he's not there. So I would like to thank all our speakers, Dr. Duryodhan Chavan, Dr. Sharmila Pimple, Dr. Himanshu Gupte, Ms. Madhura Talegaonkar. Especially thank you to Bajaj Electrical Foundation for giving us opportunity to conduct this webinar. And I would like to thank all the attendees who have attended this webinar. I hope this webinar will be very useful for you. If you have any questions, you can always connect to Roshni or any of the speaker has shared their contact details. So on this note, I would like to close this webinar, and thank you all of you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Aniha, and thank you all the attendees.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, all of you.